If you want to be free of fear, you need to connect to your sexuality. Your sexual center is your seat to power. Why else will this energetic space be so controlled in women all over the world? And enslaving a woman's sexuality through shame is disconnecting them of their innate, raw animal power. Because believe it or not, your sexual energy is a gateway to the divine. My name is Silvana. I am a sexual healing coach and the founder of the Venusian Academy, a space for the exploration of Tantra and the divine feminine arts. All right, so I know that it might be a little bit outrageous for me to say that connecting to your sexuality is going to free you of fear. So let's explore why I'm saying this and why this is actually an antidote to the constant fear that we experience for just simply being alive on this planet. Whenever we remove all of the shame and the guilt connected around sexuality, and we as women embrace this sexual energy as divine, there's going to be a sensation of being constantly connected to divinity by being in the body. Not when you're meditating or just praying or when you're taking psychedelics or plant medicine, but in being embodied in the body, in your sexuality, rooted in your root chakra, connected with your sacral chakra. When we're in this energy, we are connected with the divine. We feel the pulse of life through our being. And the pulse of life is the pulse of divinity. When we are connected to this energy, fear cannot coexist with that. Because being in love, being in gratitude, being in connection with the source of life cannot be present at the same time that fear. We experience fear whenever there is a disconnection from that energy, whenever there is a perception that I am ever disconnected from that energy. When does that happen? Well, on the animal sense is if I see it's a poisonous snake and it's going to trigger the fear in me, I'm looking at like the energy of death. My mind is associating it with death. In death, there is an end. And whenever we are in the energy of dead, of finite, of the end of things, that closed loop, we are not in the essence of divinity and infinity with the divine. This isn't saying that you're just gonna walk around the world with no fear. I'm gonna get run over by a car. No, like we are, this is an adult conversation. I'm talking about the type of fear of making decisions outside of your comfort zone, fear of going for the job that you want, of starting the business that you want, of going for the person you want. Like that type of fear that paralyzes life. That's the type of fear that I'm talking about that, we can conquer in our everyday life whenever we drop and connect with our sexual power. Because through that sexual power and energy, whenever we remove the distortions of shame and guilt and all of the religious and cultural programming around female sexuality, we're able to tap into the raw essence and the raw feeling of it, which is connected to your divinity as divine animal that is also a spiritual creature. Is the marriage between our animal selves and our spiritual selves. Sexual energy is sacred, okay? What is sacred? Sacred by definition is connected with God or a god or dedicated to a religious purpose and so deserving veneration. So if our sexual energy is sacred, it means that it's connected to God or deserving of veneration. This tells us that our sexuality is connected to God. And this is one of those big feminine mysteries. This is whenever we tap into feminine esotericism, we're always going to find connection to the spirit, the sexuality of woman. And that being a gateway for a lot of the feminine mysteries. This is the gateway to understand our divinity as also being animal creatures. And whenever we understand our animal nature with the divine lens, we are harnessing the energy, the power, the mysteries of feminine esotericism. This is the sexual centers is the house of your kundalini. As a matter of fact, the kundalini energy is your sexual energy, which is your primordial energy, and it is said that is dormant in all of us. And the process of ascension is the ascension of this sacred sexual energy into the higher chakras, into the crown chakra. That is the ultimate, spiritual marriage of our animal nature and our divine nature. Well, we cannot just jump from like, yep, I'm here and I'm ashamed of my sexuality and I don't, it's bad and it's wrong, and I'm gonna go step into the higher realms and just meditate my way out of this. Like, this is not how it works. In order for us to do this process, we have to drop into our sexual centers and connect with that primordial energy and awaken there. What does it mean? Awakening there? Well, it means bringing my pure awareness without judgment to these specific centers. It means being able to be present in the centers without experiencing shame, fear, or guilt. Whenever we are present with our raw sexual energy and drop into the animal body and we feel these emotions, this is just an indication that those emotions need to be alchemized, felt, and released for the body so the Kundalini can begin its dance upwards to meet the higher chakras. So this is it's important to keep in mind that there's no such thing as enlightenment or bliss without accessing our Kundalini energy, and that is our sexual energy, that is our life force. This is found in the root chakra, dormant, and it begins its dance expressing through the sacral chakra, which is connected to creativity and reproduction and our sexual expression as the divine animals that we are. The Kundalini energy is your inner Shakti. And that's why the teachings of the Venusian Academy are rooted in Shakta Tantra, which is it's the spiritual path of interweaving and understanding of Shakti through the 10 phases of Shakti, the 10 aspects of the divine feminine through the Tantric path. So this is it's just an organizational system to help us understand the nature of that sexual energy and how it applies to everything that I observe in myself and in my life. When you connect with this raw Shakti energy, you connect with source, with your source of power. Therefore, if you're connected with your source of power, with your divinity, with God, source, universe, whatever name you want to give to it, to the creator, to the oneness of it all, you are connected to the source of love. Therefore, fear cannot exist in the presence of this connection. This is how you conquer those fears, the irrational fears that are just the reminiscence or the last fight of these antiquated, outdated programs that are trying to keep humanity enslaved and control into lower vibrations of fear and shame and guilt and all of the things. We have to learn that our spiritual freedom, we have to take personal responsibility for it, for our journey of looking for our spiritual freedom, finding that inner peace and that bliss. And that begins by taking ownership of our sexual energy as a divine expression. Saying this energy is also my connection with God, descending into the body, because that is the feminine path, is the path of the body, of honoring the sacred animal, equally divine. If you are connected to the source, you cannot feel fear, because fear is what we feel whenever we buy into the illusion that we are disconnected from the source. If you want to help more women find this video and get empowered in their sexuality, please interact with the algorithm, like the video, comment, and check down my description box below. I have free resources, workshop on healing from sexual shame, and a new course called Sexually Emancipated to help you heal through sexual trauma. So enrollment is open right now. You can check that below. And thank you so much. I will see you guys next time.